Okay, so part of what my school district does for looking at data and data analysis, for years I've used this to drive my instruction because I'm a SPED teacher, so that's kind of what we're having to do. And we use the data from our progress monitoring to change our interventions if we see that they're not working after so many weeks. Our current math curriculum offers an online assessment for each unit. So the online assessments can score the test and divide each question into the standard it falls under. And what I like best about this is if I have a kid really struggling in an area, I can pinpoint it by the standard and really focus on it, and then fill the background knowledge in by going down a few levels and then teaching it to match what's happening in the class, but at a lower level. And so I'm kind of filling the gaps as we go. What's difficult, though, when you look between reading and math is that math gaps are harder to fill because you can't just teach fluency and expect that to go with what is happening in the classroom. In the classroom, math is moving so much faster than an intervention can occur. But when you look at reading, you can provide all of these foundational skills and they build in the classroom because then the kids are immediately applying what you have taught as an intervention into the classroom. I can also ability group by my data analysis. So if I have 10 kids, 3 of them are struggling with oral reading fluency and silent reading fluency, then I know that they need to work on their fluency rate, their words per minute, and their comprehension. If I have a kid that has horrible spelling but is comprehending at a higher level, then I know we need to go back all the way to the foundational skills and really work on our phonetics and decoding and encoding. So when we look at data, it's important to break down each fine part and that we put our kids in the appropriate groups instead of being like, oh, well, this chunk of the class scored low in silent reading fluency, so they must all need comprehension. That's not always the case. We really have to narrow it down to what each kid needs.
So it sounds like
I am a 4th, 5th, and 6th grade SPED teacher. As a SPED team, so our intervention team and our SPED team, we all look at the data the same way. We have 3 interventionists and 3 SPED teachers, so we kind of get together and look at the data, and sometimes we share across. So this year we've had to develop a behavior classroom, and so we've had to absorb some kids. So I have 20 kids on my caseload. I can't meet all their needs. So the other SPED teacher who has like 17, we kind of be like, okay, this 2nd grader can go with this 4th grader, and these 4th graders can go with this 6th grader, so we can hit everybody's needs because there's not enough time in the day to get individual grouping go per grade level, if that makes sense.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, it really is. We typically don't have these high numbers, but because of our behavior classroom, a behavior teacher takes fewer kids because the needs are greater. So me and the other SPED teacher have just had to take on more this year than normal. Reading, I just feel like we are so fundamentally sound in reading. Like we can really narrow it down and see what each kid needs. And for example, my district is very heavy in Wilson. So Wilson has multiple tiers of intervention. I'm being Wilson trained right now, which is the tier 3 intervention. Then we have just words and fundamentals. So we can break it down into what kids the program fits in, even though they're all tier 2 or tier 3, each one works on something differently. But when we look at math is a different story. Like, you can either say a kid can't follow multi-step problems or they have difficulty with fact fluency, but you can't just hit that one skill. I have a kid that doesn't understand that a fraction is a part of a whole and he's a 6th grader. Well, that part of math lasts about a month and a half and then we're moving on, and he doesn't understand it from 5th grade. He sure as heck not going to understand it in 6th grade. So how do I get so specific to teach the skills that they can continue to build without being left behind by the gen ed curriculum?
Right, because it's almost like they're sad if they're still falling through the cracks because they need more help.
Yeah, like I said, math intervention just doesn't move quickly. It does not move quickly, and you have to try and keep up with what the class is doing, because if you don't, then you're teaching 2-3 different skills and they're not being able to take it back to the classroom and apply it. So then they're further behind than when you started.
I would say we have the same struggle in our school. Like, reading is very, being on this and that. You're kind of, all over the place, it feels like sometimes.
Yeah.
I wasn't for a teacher having instructional support, so we're kind of the numbers has been really helpful for us. It kind of just is an assessment until like they're facing the person. So it really breaks it down to kind of K1 to primary level.
Okay.
And then we work on middle, which, those skills which would help in every math skill. I don't know.
And when you so we have something that's like a working number. Is that kind of what you're talking about?
I don't know, maybe I could email you our test, but it really breaks it down to just like they see groups of this or
yes,
so,
like subitizing.
Yes, it feels like that. Counting forward, basic skills that you need to do the hard math, I guess.
Yeah, and then that's awesome information to use. But when you're working at a 6th grade level and you have 30 minutes for an intervention, it's awesome to know where their working number is. But we just don't have enough time, and you wish you could just pull them out completely and teach math at their level instead of them having to follow along with the 6th grade standards. And I don't know. It's hard. It's hard.
Exposure and giving them what they need.
Yeah.
I just feel like as a whole, everywhere, this system is just a little broken.
Yeah. Especially, I think we have a good understanding of rating. The research is there. They've done brain scans. They show what parts light up and which parts don't. And they've done a little bit about math, but as a society, we just don't know enough, is what I feel. And no matter what type of data we collect as a school, the research isn't there to support the programming that we need and the types of interventions that work best for kids.
We weren't really helpful to you.
Oh, no.
I am kind of coming up with a blank. I mean, I think it's that struggle that's always going to be there, and I don't know. 30 minutes is all you can pull them?
Because our math blocks are an hour long, and so their intervention is half of that when they split into separate groups or individual work because they get whole group first and then they come to us. I can't take them out for that full 30 minutes because of state assessments. Like at a younger level, it wouldn't be so bad, but they're being assessed on these skills, so they have to learn grade level curriculum because they're being assessed on it.
I really feel, I mean, I think you have a really good handle on the knowledge, you know, that you have of your students. And I think just, I don't know if I can offer help, but maybe some encouragement. I just think with all the data and the knowledge you have and the way that you've broken it down, I think maybe that's half the battle is just that you're aware of it.
Yeah.
So just, you know, like teaching with a purpose, you know your kids and you keep those things in mind while you teach. So I guess maybe I'm offering some encouragement because it sounds like you're doing an excellent job with
Well,
what
thank
you've
you.
been given.
Yeah, because I definitely feel like I'm failing multiple times a day. So that is very helpful.
I would echo Jamie. I mean, I just don't think there's any solution that we can offer that you wouldn't have already thought of.
It's totally good. It stumps us all, so I'm okay with that.
Yeah. I mean, I think that it sounds as though you're doing a fantastic job.
Oh, thank you. Thank you. Okay, I'm going to end this one.